One.
That's really fast.
That just shows everybody.
Imagine a society where teachers are valued as much as doctors, where we value our education as much as we value our physical health. America is far from achieving this, but at the same time, it's not something that's easy to achieve. However, there are many things we can do that would allow us to value our education more than we do now. When teachers have a better education prior to entering the classroom, the American education system will become better and more comparable to other countries who score extremely high on worldwide tests such as the PISA, or the Program for International Student Assessment. Today I'm going to give you a brief overview of the PISA, as well as cover the scores of many developed countries, including the US, discuss how to become a teacher in some of the top performing education systems, and some of the ways I believe the US can improve their education system. Let's start with an overview of the PISA. The PISA is a test given to 15-year-old students every 3 years. The test was taken last year, however, the results will not be available to the end of this year, therefore we will discuss the 2015 results. Any country can choose to participate in PISA if they want, and even many states have decided to receive their results apart from the rest of the US. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, over 90 countries have participated in the PISA since 2000, when the test was first administered. The test assesses reading, math, and science. But it also has students fill out questionnaires relating to their background, attitudes towards science, and learning strategies. Also, principals are asked to fill out a questionnaire about the school's demographics, learning environment, as well as many other topics. Countries also have the option to include questionnaires for teachers and parents. The PISA is made to be a fluid test, one that is supposed to change and be adapted as the years go by and research improves. Now that you know what the PISA is, let's move on to the scores of developed countries. In 2015, 71 countries participated in the PISA. The US ranked 38th in math with a score of 470, 24th in science with a score of 496, and 24th in reading with a score of 497. The top country in all three categories was Singapore, with scores of 564 in math, 535 in reading, and 555 in science. South Korea was in the top 10 in all three categories. Finland is the top 5th in science and reading, and 11th in math. Canada was the 3rd for reading, and then in the top 10 for the other categories. United Kingdom was lower than the others, but still very similar. 26th in math, 16th in science, and 21st in reading. Some of the countries with the lowest scores would be the Dominican Republic, Indonesia, and Mexico, so typically countries with lower GDPs. However, these are the results of PISA of only 1 year of scores. That is not enough information to be able to determine how good of an education system a country may have. However, when we look at all the scores since 2000, we are better able to understand the trends. Singapore has only been participating in the PISA since 2009, which means only 3 testing years. So it's harder to find a trend for them. However, they have been consistently in the lead in all 3 categories since they started. South Korea and Finland used to be in the top 3 in every category. However, with new countries coming into the PISA and also countries improving their scores, their rankings have lowered, but not their scores. Also, Canada has stayed consistent in scores and rankings, as has the United Kingdom and America. Now that we have covered the PISA scores of various countries, let's move on to how the top countries got their high scores. I'm going to consider South Korea and Finland as the top countries because they have had the highest scores for the longest. These countries got the high scores because they value their teachers and they train their teachers really well. In Korea, primary school teachers have limited options when applying to universities. Only 11 universities are allowed to have primary school programs. The secondary school teachers, however, do have a few more options. Teachers are also required to major in a specific subject that relates to their field and focus more on that subject than on the educational theory. Also, all teachers are required to take a teaching exam that is much more rigorous than the American praxis before they can apply for a teaching position. Like South Korea, teachers are very well respected in Finland. Only the top universities are allowed to have programs for future teachers, and in these programs it is extremely hard to get accepted. Teachers are also required to have a master's degree in their field. In other words, a math teacher needs a math master's degree. Teaching is something you grow up wanting to do in Finland. You don't just decide your second or third year of university. For many, it takes years to get into the programs and even longer to complete them. Finnish teachers and principals also have a lot of autonomy in their classrooms and schools. Because there is only one required standardized test that's at the end of secondary school. Now that we have covered how to become a teacher and some of the world's top education systems, let's move on to how to use this information to improve the American education system. One thing I think that America needs to do is to make education programs more selective. They need to accept fewer students and to raise the standards, such as GPA. Many schools only require 2.5 GPA to be accepted into an education program. And after universities raise the standards, schools should start requiring relevant master's degrees in education for an English teacher. Or relevant master's degrees. This means an English teacher needs an English degree and then a master's in education, or something similar to that. I understand that many people would not want this because they believe it would discourage people from applying to education programs. Some people wouldn't apply because they don't think that they would meet the requirements, and then the US would have a shortage of teachers. However, in countries that have applied similar standards, they see an increase of people trying to become teachers and a higher quality of teachers coming out of their programs. This is because by making the program more difficult, it gains more respect. Just like getting into med school is a hard and long process, but we have no shortage of people who want to become doctors. Now that we have covered everything, let us conclude. Today we have explored the PISA and the scores of various countries, how to become a teacher in a Finnish or Korean school system, and how we can improve our own education system. How can we expect our students to perform well if our teachers are not educated properly? Teachers are the foundation of education. When we educate our teachers better, we are educating our whole country better. Thank you.